Hiya! Some of you hawk-eyed people will have noticed that Paul is using walking poles. So he would like to give an honest review as to what he thinks of the walking poles that he has bought. So Paul, why have you decided to buy walking poles?
Well, in 2018, I had a partial knee replacement, and it's particularly with that steep down is particularly the worst. My knee, which was had the partial knee replacement, got a bit sore. I think it's where the artificial bit is bumping into the joint, but it just made it. Well, that feels like that, and just meant it was a bit sore after a longish walk.
Okay, and then one day we were on a walk on the Southwest Coast Path and you bumped into somebody who had walking poles and they recommended a certain type to you?
Yeah, they were Lecky poles.
Okay, and then you did a bit of research about it. And what was the most popular pole that came up when you were doing some research?
Well, Lecky came out quite popular and but they're quite expensive.
Okay.
And, I mean, the thing is with poles, you can pay as much as you like, whether you want carbon fiber ones or whatever. So yeah, in the end, I thought I wasn't sure about it, so I didn't want to spend like £80+ on poles and then decide I don't like them. So
Okay.
I went for a cheaper brand in the end.
You tried charity shops as well, didn't you, first?
Yeah, well, you put out on the Southwest Coast Pass forum.
Yeah.
A few people suggested trying charity shops, but to no avail. I did try a few, but there weren't any.
So which ones did you consider in the end? Because you decided to go down the budget, the cheaper range in the end, to try them out first. Which ones did you consider?
Well, there were some. In the end, I went for these ones called Trail Buddy. They were about £30.
Right.
So not the cheapest of the cheap, but not the most expensive either.
Okay.
They look quite good. The reviews, a lot of the reviews were very good on them. 1-2 people found had problems with the clips, but generally the reviews were pretty good. And
so actually, what was the problem with the clips?
They snapped. Some people found that they snapped.
Right. Okay.
One of the things you got to make sure with walking poles, and obviously everyone's very clear on this, that you don't want a pole that's going to slide. You put it down and then suddenly it closes up on itself.
Yeah.
Because obviously you could then fall and badly hurt yourself. And that's the reason why I went for the ones with clips.
Right.
Again, through the Southwest Coast Path forum, a lot of people said the ones where you twist it, you can't really get it tight enough.
Right.
So I went with these ones with the clips.
Okay.
You've also got to test them before they recommend you test them before. You've got little screws here, you just tighten slightly, and then you just clip it down, and that's not going anywhere. I mean, obviously you need to test it a bit more with the weight.
So it's not just secure with the clips, it's secure with the screws as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So you get the screws to sort of not too tight.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the screws are loose, let's just show you. If the screws are really loose, and then you just put the clip.
Yeah.
Even with that quite loose, it doesn't seem to go in, which is good. But,
yeah.
I mean, if it's too loose, obviously that pole will go in, and you must have that pole secure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to end up, coming a cropper.
So when you say it was £30, was that £30 each or £30 for both of them?
£30 for the pair.
Okay, so you bought them as a pair.
Yeah.
Did they come with special little replacement feet, right, or did you buy those extra?
So it came with these unscrew. I believe I never taken them off. Yeah, they unscrew, so you can replace them, and they came with 2 spare of these, so and you know, a replacement of these, and underneath there's a tungsten carbide tip. So it came with that. It also came with a thing that's, you know, just a thread there that you can screw like a flat disc. That's if you're in very muddy conditions. It just stops them sinking too far in the mud. And
that's handy, isn't it?
Also came with even bigger ones, which probably will never use, although you never know, for snow.
Right, okay.
So, you know, if you're going...
So, looking at the tips where you've got replacement ones, how worn are these after the first week? Let's have a close-up. Let's just have a look.
I mean, there's certainly plenty of rubber still left on there.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, let's just have a little...
but nothing, and it's been quite stony.
Oh, I see. So you could use it without the rubbery bit.
Yeah. So, let's see if I can get this up.
So, but the rubbery bit protects the carbon tip.
This tip here.
Oh, let's have a close-up of that. Hang on. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So you could use it without the rubbery bit then?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that would be okay?
Yeah. Now, there are certain places in the world where you do have to use the rubbery bits to protect. I know there's what's it called in South America? One of the trails there that they have to have the rubbery bits on because of obviously damaging rocks and stuff.
Oh, I see. I see.
Stick it on. Stops it sinking into the snow, into the mud.
Yeah, that's good. And would you put the rubbery thing back on then?
You could do. Or if it's really squelchy, I wouldn't, but the yeah, and then there's similar but bigger for the snow.
You've had a whole week using these poles now along the southwest coast path from Morgan Porth down to Portreath, so a fair variety of terrains. What would you say with your first week of using these poles? What are the pros and what are the cons of using these poles? Have you found any terrain more difficult or more easy?
So definitely going down steep, they definitely take pressure off the knees, so which is obviously why I bought them in the first place. So they are accomplishing that. I found it easier to go up hills as well and up steps. Not that my knee needs that particularly, but just using your arms as well is so in that respect they're really good. The cons, grass. Now someone might come up with some suggestions on this, but what I find is particularly if the path gets a bit narrower and it's a bit sunken down, as it is quite often is, then the whole thing gets a little bit... I mean, it's not a fault of the poles, but they get caught in the long grass.
Right.
So the other negative, of course, is that you don't have any hands free. So if you're using both poles, you're then... I quite like looking at the map and things like that, and obviously you can't do that with these. I mean, they do have wrist straps, so you could, in theory, but, you know, then they're dangling in the way. So that I would definitely say is a negative in using poles. That's not a criticism of this particular type of pole, because that would be true of any pole.
So have you got any other points to make about these poles?
Yeah, I mean, I think they seem to have stood up well. The paint hasn't scratched or anything like that. The handly bit is, there's no wear on that, even though it's sort of cork. It's quite good at absorbing the sweat, which is quite useful. Straps, all that sort of stuff seems to be working well after a week, which you would expect,
How was it? I mean, we've had a very dry and sunny week, but today we did have quite a bit of rain, quite a harsh shower at one point. And how was it functioning in the wet?
No difference.
Made no difference. Okay. How do you think it would function if it was really, really muddy?
You'd have to put the muddy things in, but it would work quite well.
Well, thank you very much. I will leave that review on YouTube for people to know the walking poles that you were using.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with them, really.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your honest review, Paul.